Hello everybody, Omni here. The second trailer that I definitely wanted to look into. This one is much more near and dear to my childhood, my evolutionary years when it was the first film that really got me into the horror slasher genre. And I might have a bias for this, but mainly because we share a namesake. And I don't know why, but that always drew me towards this character. Not necessarily just that, but he's the most captivating slasher that came about in that great era horror classics. You got the original John Carpenter's Halloween, which kind of sparked the whole 80s plethora of slasher content that really brought this whole thing into the mainstream. It spawned the horror classics such as Nightmare on Elm Street. You got Friday the 13th, Child's Play. I don't think you would have any of those movies, or that they would have done nearly as well if you didn't have the original Halloween. And for the most part, I've liked all of the Halloweens except for Resurrection. There's just no excuse for that movie. For the most part, I've liked all of them aside from, the one. Even though they do have two separate continuities happening throughout the movies, because you have the Trilogy of the Thorn, which is 4, 5, and 6, which take place after 1 and 2. And then you have H2O, which ignores all of that and takes place 20 years after 2. So it's not the most coherent thread, which is kind of why I understand where they went with this one and decided to just go, you know what, the only one that happened in our movie is the first one. The original intent of the first Halloween movie, and if we were to revisit that real time now, and how would that character have grown up and evolved and gotten to the point that we see Jamie Lee Curtis at now with Laurie Strode. And the fact that, the whole basis of all of the sequels that came out before were all built on the fact that he was on this mission to extinguish his line. He focused on her because she was his sister. And so it gave this connection between Michael and Laurie. And that was, according to John Carpenter himself also, that was never intended to be the case. You weren't really ever supposed to know why Michael Myers focused on her. It was just supposed to be a random occurrence because, in his mind and a lot of people's mind, that's more threatening. When you don't understand the motive, when it's just a mental fixation with no explanation. And I kind of agree that it elevates that fear, because, stuff like this can just happen without any rhyme or reason. And in a lot of cases in movies like this and other things, when you try to explain something a little too far, it kind of takes a lot of the magic or mysticism out of that character. I like the mythos that it's set up originally with Michael being her brother, but I also understand and respect, and I think this could take it in a very interesting direction. But we got a new trailer, second trailer for the new Halloween movie. So let's go ahead and give that a look. See what they got.
Oh, my house is here. Which one should we go to? They're all spooky.
There's such a tone that just gives you that vibe of that first movie. The way it's shot, the movie, the music. Not the movie, obviously the movie.
"40 years ago, on Halloween night, Michael Myers murdered 3 people.
We're going to talk about that
After that horrific night, he was sent back to the institution in captivity.
Grabbing that hammer. Oh, there's your knife, buddy.
I have prayed every night that he would escape.
What the hell did you do that for?
This is
So I can kill him. The bus crashed.
Michael Myers.
that
We
score
returned to Haddonfield.
classic. I
need
can't
to
think
protect
of
my family.
this Halloween season
You have
without
no
thinking of this
security
music.
system, Karen.
Mom?
You need help.
Evil is real.
There's a reason we're supposed to be afraid of this night.
I've been preparing for this for a long time. It is not safe to be on the street tonight.
Go home! Get out of here! Get inside! Michael!
He's here. He is a killer, but he will be killed tonight. Happy Halloween, Michael.
Dude. Oh my god, dude. There's so much of a tonal consistency with the first movie that I just can't not be hyped for this movie. Just the post-traumatic stress that the first event has ingrained itself into the character of Laurie Strode. The fact that she's been obsessing over that one event in this continuity, the one event, how much that traumatized her and has carried her into this point where she's borderline a doomsday preparist, but her doomsday is not the end of the world. It is the return of this killer, this man, this force that just randomly entered her life and completely changed her outlook on everything. Like, this really is like it's a character study on PTSD, according to a lot of the things that they've talked about in their panels, the Comic-Con panel, their interviews and stuff like that. It is how someone deals with this and how it lingers. Like, you never really forget. And Laurie in this clearly has not forgot and has been just praying for him to get out so that she can exact her vengeance. She at least has the level of sense that, all right, he's going to have to break out and come after me, and then that's when he's the one that's in the trap. Because it'd be one thing if she's tried to kill him while he's just in captivity. That'd be a little weird. But the one thing where I pointed out, this is the plot point I wanted to come back to, is yes, this is 40 years later. In movie world time, 40 years later. And that makes Michael 61. He is a 61-year-old man running around with a knife, hunting this woman. Michael Myers is a senior citizen in this movie, and I don't know what it is about that. Like, watching it in action, like I forget about that. Seeing him do his Halloween stuff makes me kind of forget about that. But once it clicks in my head that he's 61, and like the only like justification they have for this being somewhat difficult is the fact that our protagonists are also primarily in their 60s. You even have the same sheriff from the first movie reprising his role, and I did read that they have some type of tribute to Donald Pleasance even in this as well, and his character. Gosh, why can't I think of his name? Anyway, but like, it's just kind of, I don't know. When you think about it like that, it's just a little ridiculous. But no matter what, the tone they're setting and the visual aesthetic, the cinematography in this, and the music and everything just echoes that first movie, that classic. And I cannot wait. I can't wait. Only 1 month away. 1 month. And this will be out, and I'll be checking it out. And I'll probably drop a small review on it too, because I'm a huge fan of this series. This is one of the... Well, I've watched every Friday the 13th, every Child's Play, every Nightmare on Elm Street, all of the big slasher movies that have progressed throughout the years and whatnot. But this one, Halloween, has always been my personal favorite. Just think there's more depth to it than some of the other ones, because it's more psychological, I think. With, say, like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or Child's Play, the way those movies evolved as they went along, it shifted the character focus onto the killer, like to where the killer is the main character of this series. And to me, that's when you lose your grip on the audience, because at that point, like, what's the point? You're just watching it for the kills. You're just watching to see the killer just do whatever. Like, your protagonist, the people that are like 50% of this movie, you're not meant to care about. And I don't think you ever had that in the Halloween franchise until, you know, Halloween Resurrection, which was just throwaway. But you had Laurie. You grew with her. You followed her up from 1 to 2 to H2O. And then you followed her daughter in the Thorn trilogy. You follow her throughout, Jamie. And like, you want to see these protagonists make it through. And then that just keeps it on a level where you're invested. You want to see, are they going to get away? You want to see, are they going to overcome Michael? Like, and with all the other large franchises, after a point, there's no one to root for except for the killer. And I feel like at that point is when you've lost your track. But anyway, I've rambled on a little too long about this one, and I don't want to burst out your eardrums too much, but I'd love to hear what you all think in the comments. Please leave your comments and your opinions about the trailer itself, the movie. If you've checked it out, make sure you go watch the trailer so you can hear it without me having to talk over and react to it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you all next time.